Sri Krishna. Let's start discussion on a topic that is as baseline uncovering hidden anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing process flow, which that will happen, which will create in the AGIS baseline document, or it is the part of gap analysis where we are doing the AGIS or the current process of the system. So let's deep dive into the operational vulnerabilities, and that this video is most important for you if you're writing the business requirement document, functional requirement document, or the technical requirement document, or most of the vendor evaluation document, or writing the request for information document or the request for proposal document. These will very helpful you to understand the current process in the banks. So, but basically these videos I'll prepare for the vendor evaluation perspective. So let's start a discuss on this video. So I'll first you introduction, the importance of an AGIS baseline document. So why we need to prepare the AGIS document and what we are include in this AGIS document, and the goal, what are the target or what are the goal we are going to achieve after preparing these documents. So AML CFT process are often complex and evolve over a times, and it is an the criminal activities. So AML and CFT process, or the transaction monitoring process, or the payment screening process, or the name screening process are the technologies or the new fields are adding, and the continuously improvement in these fields or regulatory are a high burden in that field, and strict regulator we can see in that field. So that's we need to adopt the new technology. So that's why the banks or the financial institutions or the insurance companies are moving to increase their the financial system. So that's the one of the reason to prepare for the baseline document. And without a clear understanding of the current states, it is an impossible to identify and they fix the problem exactly. So if we don't know how the current system or the current process and what are the current pain points and what are the challenges or what are the gaps in current pain point and what are the manual process in the current system, so we are not able to draw the conclusion from that, and we are not able to define how the to be process or how the proposed system should look like, and how the process in current system will look like, and how the process work in the to be system. So that's why the hatches baseline document is a very important and the key and the important document and the very important document in that things. So let's defining the edges baseline. So it contain a detailed and unbiased document of the current process system and data flow. It contain the functional requirement, functional pain point, technical requirement, technical pain point, technical the flow diagram, process flow diagram, and the functional process flow diagram. It contains how the data flow from the core banking system to transaction monitoring system, how the transaction monitoring system will create the current transaction monitoring system will create the STR suspicious activity report, cash transaction report, or these or the electronic transactions report. So these we detail mention that thing and goes beyond the official policy to uncover and how and actually work is done in the system, what are the lags, what are the functionalities are not currently working in the system, or the what are the things they want or they need to include in this system. So let's discuss all these points in that has a pain point section in this the document, and then the goal and the principles and the goal and the objective of to creating this document. So the pain point, inefficiency, risks and vulnerabilities we will cover in this document, and this document will provide for foundation of efficient remedies and the improvement, and this document is help will help us to what are the key pain points in the current system and how we will eliminate these pain points, and the vendor solutions will how they look like. So these are the importance of to draw the AGIS baseline document. So let's move on the next slide. Let's take some quick reference on the anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing and why this is the important, so you can understand in the perspective of the AML system solution or the payment screening system solutions or the name screening system solution or the transaction monitoring system solution. So the anti-money laundering is the process to prevent and detect the proceeds of criminal activities being the launder for the financial system. If there any criminal wants to clean their dirty money and show us it is earned by the legal money, so such criminal prevent such criminal to do such activities, this and the anti-money laundering and the counter financing of terrorism. So it is and the most important thing, the process of stop funds from being used to financial terrorist activities. So to enforce the rules or the business logic or the AIML techniques in your system to protect or to to do not allow the criminals to transact their fund and to do the criminal activities. So these are the two things. That's why we are creating these systems and why these process are critical. In the bank will have, financial institution will have the force they have for the search processes. So first one is legal and regulatory compliances. Yeah, there is other legal compliances, regulatory compliances, or the central bank will force them to do, to monitor your transaction, to do the name screening and to reputation in the market. So that's why they are implementing such system and protecting against the financial crime. They will identify the criminals and do the debit freeze of their account, and they make sure that their banking system should work smoothly and not any criminal activities, or not that banking system will be used by the criminals to perform their the criminal activities, and mitigate the reputational damage and the penalties from the regulator. So this one of the also important. So that's why we, the banks or the financial institution, use the new technologies. So let's move on the common symptoms and the flawed processes in the current system. So increase the false positive rates and leading to review fingerty. So current most of the banks are work on the old system, so that has not capability to AIML techniques, and these are the fixed rule based models. So they are high chance to generate the repetitive false positive alerts, and it will require the human interaction on such alert to review and to do the analysis, and but finally it will the fails positive. So it is a time consuming process, and then high manual review burden and slow the turnaround time. So there is, I already told you the high manual review search true fails positive, and it will time taking process, and then miss alert or the suspicious activities. So there is a high chance, though, so the human maybe miss the alerts and the suspicious activity, and the criminal will, work on do their the criminal activity. So that's why we need to adopt new system, and lack of clear and auditable, tales for the decision. So there is no track of the historical checking or the historical history of that customers in the reporting. So how much the alerts are generated in that against over the where that alerts will generated, and how what are the steps we take, is we file the suspicious activity, or is we check against these, or it is closed on the L1 level, L2 level. So we don't have such kind of track in the legacy system, so we want that in the proposed system. And miss alerts and the suspicious activity. Okay, and solid data and poor communication between the teams. So there is no interlink, or there is no in system communication flow or the case management flow between the compliance team, between the business team, between the operation team, between the branch level team. So there, they may talk on the emails, and it will the time consuming, and the system will not drop it entire process or the flow of such activities. And there might be, the in between loop in that mail. The person only can see that things, but the other people, they are not in that loop, so they are not able to identify or the conclude that transactions, and it will, not good sign for the banks, and it inconsistent application policy and across the organization. So let's move on the next the process how we will do. Let's discuss on this topic step by step processes for to prepare the Hagis baseline document for AML CFT process flow. So first we will do the process mapping and visualizing the current state, and then the data analysis and digging into the details of data analysis, and then we will do the stakeholder interview and human elements, and then we will do the technology and the review systems. These are the four steps we follow for to prepare the agis document. So let's start discussion on the first stage, that is the process mapping, which is visualization the current state. So we will walk through the approach to follow the transfer and customer from start to end. We will conduct the technical and the functional workshop with the business team or the project manager or there the business analyst, and to understand there the how the customer start from working start to finish, how the business team will work, how the process will start, how the data will inject in the transaction monitoring system or the payment screening system or the name screening system. It is a batch process, it is a real time process, or it is a near real time process. Then how the system will generate the alerts, how the alerts will investigate by the users, and then how the dashboard will look like for the that alert. So that's all these things from start to end we will discuss with the the banks, and understand that requirements and document every step decision and to system interaction, to draw the flowcharts, process flowcharts, or the pain point in the system, or the key functional areas in that system. So what that system have and what that system does not have. So we will draw this document or the Hagis document and the key element to map of such document. So what we need, we are understanding in that the visualization current state. So what we need to understand, onboarding and customer due diligence process, how the customer will onboard it, what are the things the system will track that customer, the transaction monitoring system, how the transaction monitoring system will work, how the bank or that financial institution will handle or work on the alerts trigger, how the system will generate it, how the what how many rules are configured, and understand to do the rule analysis of that and to prepare the anomalies. And then the case management, once the user will find that it is a suspicious activity or it is a thing we need to do the further analysis on that case. So how the case management, how the process will happen, and the suspicious transactions, suspicious activity reports filling, the cash transactions report will create it, suspicious activity report will create it, how that creation will happen, is it in that system or out of the system. And then outcome, to visualize the flowchart and highlighted the bottlenecks and the unofficial work around there the current system and identify there the pain point. So this we do in the process mapping as a visualization of the current state, the process. So then we will do the technical workshop or understand the technical or the data things and do the data analysis and digging into the detail. So review the data alerts data. So we will do that thing and analyze the historical alert volume and fails positive rates, how much the transaction will done in that system, how much the transaction they will feed into the system, and how the alerts, how many alerts that system will generate it against the transactions we will feed. And apart from that, these alerts, how many the fails positive, how many the true positive, how the and how what level that the alerts will get closes. So we will do such data and understand and on analysis do on that data and break down the business, the breakdown by the business unit product drop, okay, and the customer segments on to do the risk analysis, how they do the risk analysis like medium risk, low risk, or the high risk of the customers. And then we will identify the data quality and issue in the data, what are the important data or what data we need to do the analysis that we feed or not feed data, or what are the process of doing the analysis, are the manual or outside of the system. So we will look missing or inconsistent customer information which we are not able to feed the current systems, and lack of access accuracy and timeline of the data feed. So we will do analysis on that things. And then finally outcome, so quantitative evidence of where the system is unperforming or to do what are the the functions or the features that are not working in the current system. So we will do analysis and how that 2B system will that work, and how the 2B system will work, or the data flow will work. So we will do analysis apart from these also. So let's move on the next slide, that is the stakeholder interview and the human element. Yeah, it is and the most important. So we will conduct different kinds of the workshop with the banks or with the different stakeholder to understand the requirement, to do the to prepare the workshops, to do the interviews, to communicate with the emails, to the some questions that are not answered in the workshop, or requirement of some documents, to do the document analysis, to do to understand there the current process of frontline staff, compliance officer, IT support and management, where we are conducting the huge workshops and the interviews to gather the requirement in detail. And the quick actions, what are the biggest pain point in your daily workflow. We will ask these kind of questions in that workshop. And are there any slow down process or the workaround uses? What are the information do you need, you don't have in the current system? How the data ingestion, data alert generation, or the analysis, or the case management, or the dashboard of in your current system will look like? How many team members you should have in each team? How the the system will generate the alerts? What are the mechanism that generating that alerts the system should have? Who will take to create the suspicious activity report? Who will take to create the suspicious transaction report? How that report get filed? How the data will imported in your transaction monitoring systems? That kind of the different question, it take 2 to 3 hours to complete that system. And we need to understand the detail flow or the detailed analysis of their the current system or the current flow, and then outcome the quantitative insights and explain why being the data or the quality of that interview. So then the last we will discuss on the technology and the system review. So how the system will work and what are the technologies they will consume. We will do analysis on that. So assess the system configuration, review the rules, thresholds and parameter of the AML system software. So how many rules are there, how they generate, or what are the threshold tuning is done by them in the last, and what are the parameters they have in their the current system. So we will discuss on such points. And are they still relevant, or to the current risks, or they are able to satisfy the current risks? How the process will flow on the current risks, and evaluate it and integration the data flow. Where are the data gaps between the system? What are the gaps in the system? What data we are important to do the analysis but not able to feed that the system? Is the customer is the user will able to do the 360-degree analysis on the suspicious activity or the customer profiling? Is the data is updated if the customer is amended or change the data? So that kind of we need to understand the data level understanding. And outcome from that analysis is a technical assessment of system limitation and configurable laws flows in that system. What have the configuration flows, what are the in that system, so how, so we need to understand that thing. So then the key areas of hidden flows. So what are the areas that are hidden and not covered in that the 4 stage processes? So discuss on this slide. So the data incompleteness or inaccuracy, we need to understand, is there the bad data in lead to bad result outs, or that is what are the necessary fields, what are the unnecessary fields? Or if the customer details are get updated, so what are the fields are get updated in the system, what are field not get updated in system? To doing the name screening process and the inefficiency rules and model. So rules are too static and don't adopt and evolving the criminal typologies. Is there the criminal will update their typologies or to do the criminal activities method? Is that system is sufficient to do analysis on such things? Manual override, so undocumented to uncontrolled manual changes to assess, what are the the process that are manual that should be in the systems, how the human interaction or the compliance team interaction with the systems, and what are the manual process we can do the automated, or we can use the enhanced techniques, and the fragmented system lack of integration leading to data slide and miss the connection, where we are miss the connection, how the data injection process will happen, it is to the API or it is to the file upload, it is to the batch process. So what are the that system will do, and the training and the knowledge gap, stop not the stop not fully understand the policies or the system functionality, is there any gap, so how the bank will train the model, how the training process will happens to the to stop, or the the knowledge and the inefficient workflow. So extensive manual step and approve causing delay analysis, what are the manual step and why, if the require the some cases, what are the backlogs of the test cases in there the current system, how that works, so that things we need to understand in the workshops also. So how we will move as is to 2V, and what are the paths for this process? So let's discuss on that. So we will also created the dog search videos for the 2B process, and what are my approach to create such 2B processes. So I'll help you on that point also. So document the findings. So we will document or to prepare the as is document in details, and create and report for all identified flows, and take approval from the business team or the banks, and to do the detailed analysis for the technical and the functional sides, and then take a sign off, and the prioritize and the improvement, categorize the flow by risk level and the in now no impact. Categorize the requirement or the process flow on the urgency or the on the importance, or what are the importance of that to the bank, so do that analysis, and build the roadmap to create a phase plan to remediate and optimize the requirement, to understand their requirement, quick win, data cleaning and long term projects. So system upgrade, I'll do the system upgrades, and how the system upgrade process will happens, what are the new technologies, what are the current to be technologies that have the systems, and clear and actionable plan to move from the float as is state to the more robust to be state, how the to be state will look like. So we will do these in the to be process. And let's conclude and the next step, so these videos and the how the to be process will look like. So recap and hedges baseline is a crucial critical for first step and strengthening your AML CFT program. So understand the the current system pain point or the current system process flow or the data ingestion, alert generation and the dashboard process. So that's why we will to prepare the as document to understand the as flow, the action to call the call to action, start with the pilot program, small scale review, and start from the small and to upgrade the systems. And final thoughts, proactive assessment is far more effective than the reactive remediation, so we will do on the reactive perspective. So that's the end of these slides, guys. If you have any open questions, or if you need to understand more, so or if you want me to help you to prepare the as baseline documents, so please do and like my video, and please comment on my video, so I'll be there for help you out on such processes. So once again, thank you so much, guys, for attending these videos. I'm very happy, and thanks.